بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. Chapter number 18. Imam Al-Bukhari rahimahullah says باب تعجيل السحور. حدثنا محمد بن عبيد الله قال حدثنا عبد العزيز بن أبي حازم عن أبي حازم عن سهل بن سعد رضي الله عنه قال كنت أتسحر في أهلي ثم تكون سرعتي أن أدرك السجود مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. قال باب قدر كم بين السحور والصلاة الفجر. حدثنا مسلم بن إبراهيم قال حدثنا هشام قال حدثنا قتادة عن أنس عن زيد بن ثابت رضي الله عنه قال تسحرنا مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ثم قام إلى الصلاة قلت كم كان بين الأذان والسحور قال قدر 50 آية. قال رحمه الله باب بركة السحور من غير إجابة لأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وأصحابه واصلوا ولم يذكروا السحور. حدثنا موسى بن إسماعيل قال حدثنا جويرية عن نافع عن عبد الله رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم واصل فواصل الناس فشق عليهم فنهاهم قالوا إنك تواصل قال لست كهيئتكم إني أظل أطعم وأسقى. حدثنا آدم بن أبي إياس قال حدثنا شعبة قال حدثنا عبد العزيز بن صهيب قال سمعت أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم تسحروا فإن في السحور بركة. تفضل أبو سعيد. Chapter 18.
Chapter 18, taking the suhoor hurriedly, shortly before dawn. Married Salim bin Sa'd. I used to take my suhoor meals with my family and then hurry up for presenting myself for the Fajr prayer with the laws as possible. Chapter 19, what is the interval between the end of suhoor and the Fajr prayer? Narrated Anas Zayd bin Thabit said, we took the suhoor with the Prophet ﷺ. Then he stood for the prayer. I asked what was the interval between the suhoor and the adhan. He replied the interval was sufficient to recite 50 verses of the Quran.
Sahih. Continue, please.
Chapter 20, the suhoor is a blessing but it's not compulsory for the Prophet ﷺ and his companions kept fasting continuously for more than one day, and of course no suhoor was taken during that prolonged fast. Narrated Abdullah, the Prophet ﷺ fasted for days continuously. The people also did the same, but it was difficult for them. So the Prophet ﷺ forbade them to fast continuously for more than one day. They said, but you fast without break. No food was taken in the evening or in the morning. The Prophet ﷺ replied, I am not like you, for I am provided with food and drink by Allah. Narrated Anas bin Malik, the Prophet ﷺ said, take suhoor as there is a blessing in it. Continue.
تفضل جميل أحسنت.
Chapter number 18, taking the suhoor hurriedly. Narrated Salim bin Sa'd I used to take my suhoor meals with my family and then hurry up for presenting myself for the Fajr prayer with the Lord's Messenger. Chapter number 19, what is the interval between the suhoor and the Salat al-Fajr? Narrated Anas Zayd bin Thabit said, we took the suhoor with the Prophet ﷺ. Then he stood for us salat. I asked, what was the interval between the suhoor and the adhan? He replied, the interval was sufficient to recite 50 verses of Quran. Chapter number 20, the suhoor is a blessing, but it is not compulsory. For the Prophet ﷺ and his companions kept observing fast continuously for more than one day, and no suhoor was taken. Narrated Abdullah the Prophet ﷺ observed fasting for days continuously. The people also did the same, but it was difficult for them. So the Prophet ﷺ forbade them. They said, would you observe fast without breaking? The Prophet ﷺ replied, I am not like you, for I am provided with food and drink for all. Narrated Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, take support as there is a blessing in it.
Sahih. I sent to him. Imam Al-Bukhari, he says, chapter number 18. Says here in the Arabic language, Ta'jeel as-sahur. Says here in the translation, taking the sahur hurriedly. Hurriedly. We know that the sunnah of sahur or suhoor is to do what? Ta'jeel or ta'khir? Ta'khir, ascent. Ta'khir, meaning to pushing it back. And this says ta'jeel, which means what? Hurrying it up. So how is this? How is this? Naam. The ta'khir as-suhoor and the ta'jeel al-iftar. So how does this make sense now? It says ta'jeel as-suhoor. In other words, when you compare it one side to the next, and in comparison to one time or to one part of the night is ta'khir. In comparison to the morning, to fajr, to the salah is what? Ta'jeel. Everybody understand this? In other words, ta'khir as-sahur, not eating the sahur right after salat al-isha, tarawih, so on and so forth, making it later on towards the morning. And ta'jeel, making sure that it's before the salah, before it's time to stop eating and to stop what? Drinking. Everybody understand this? Like a seesaw. It's like a what? Seesaw, heavy and light. The one on the ground is considered to be, the one in the air is based off of the mechanism. Everybody understand this? You know, a seesaw? Or we forgot what a seesaw is? Maybe Uncle Faz, you may have forgotten, you know. No. So yeah, seesaw. Now, everybody understand this? Khairan, inshallah, relatively speaking. So therefore, the Sahabi here says, narrated Sahih ibn Sa'ad, a famous companion and narrates many hadiths. His first name was Sahih. Sahih. He said, I used to take my sahur with my family and then hurry up for presenting myself for the Fajr prayer with Allah's Messenger. How far was his house from the masjid? Everybody understand this? How long was the distance? It's not mentioned. We don't necessarily know right here. So he had to eat and hurry up to catch the salah. So he didn't eat too early. So from one aspect, him hurrying up is considered to be ta'jeel. And he also, eating at the last minute is also considered to be ta'khir. Everybody understand this? Everybody learn this? Khairan, inshallah? So that's the general gist of that hadith. Ibn Hajar, he says, أي الإسراع بالأكل إشارة إلى أن السحور كان يقع قرب طلوع الفجر. He says this means ta'jeel, hurriedly in eating, and not hastening the suhoor with regards to the time as well. Another way of looking at it. One is ta'khir and ta'jeel, and another is when a person eats not to take too long. Everybody understand this? Or just the concept of doing it before it's time to make salah. It says here, وروى مالك عن عبد الله بن أبي بكر عن أبيه كنا ننصرف أي من صلاة الليل فنستعجل بالطعام مخافة الفجر. قال المطال طيب. He mentions a narration here, and there are many others with regards to the Sahaba finishing the salah at night and then running, hastening, rushing to eat the what? The sahur. Everybody understand this? Eating the sahur. Khairan, inshallah. طيب. Moving on. طيب. It says here, and there's another issue we have in this hadith with regards to the Prophet ﷺ. When did he make Salat al-Fajr? When did the Prophet pray Salat al-Fajr? In the beginning of the time? Or did he allow some time to go by? What's the sunnah of Salat al-Fajr? We have two concepts. The first word is called at-taghlis, and the second is called al-isfa. At-taghlis means to make Fajr at an appropriate, expedited time after the adhan, and for the imam to recite in a lengthy manner. And when they leave the masjid, it's relatively light outside. It's light outside. And to start the prayer when it's very dark. When it's what? Very dark. And al-isfar is when more time is between the adhan and the actual iqamah, the salah. And the imam starts the salah, he commits the prayer, and it's relatively light outside. Everybody understand this? Two different concepts. One is called taghlis, and one is called al-isfar. Al-taghlis and isfar. There are hadith to support both views. You take a Hanafi madhab, for example, and a madhab of many other fuqaha. Some may say that the fajr should be made when it's still what? Dark. And others, they say that the fajr should be made when it's what? More light outside. That also pertains to the what? The suhoor. Khair, inshallah. So the general gist of that previous hadith in that chapter is that a person should not eat suhoor too early. He shouldn't eat what? Suhoor too early. Khair, inshallah. In chapter number 19, it says here in the English translation, what is the interval between suhoor and salat al-fajr? Bab kam أو قدر كم بين السحور وصلاة الفجر. How long should it be between the suhoor and the adhan? In other words, this chapter heading is similar to the prayer schedule, the imsak. 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, in which fajr is not in yet, but you shouldn't do what? Eat and drink or anything else. Or what? How much? Everybody understand this? Not Ramadan is not just eating and drinking. Anything else, that's haram. Everybody clear on this? That will nullify your fast. So is this the proper understanding of this hadith? Is there such thing called al-imsak? 10 minutes before fajr in which you have to stop eating and drinking? 15 minutes before fajr before you stop eating and drinking or anything else? This chapter heading supports that or rejects that?
Rejects it.
No, supports it. Well, I don't know. Because it clearly mentions that there's an interval. There's a time between and... Everybody clear on this? Sharif, you clear on this? How long? Come. Now? Moving on. Imam Al-Bukhari rahimahullah, it says here in the translation, narrated Zayd ibn Thabit radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. We took the suhoor with the Prophet ﷺ. Then he stood for our salah. I asked, what was the interval between suhoor and the adhan? He replied, the interval was sufficient to recite 50 verses of the Quran. It was enough time to recite 50 ayah from the Quran al-Kareem. Before we get into this hadith, there are many different benefits of this hadith. First is what, Jameel? قال المهلب وغيره فيه تقدير الأوقات بأعمال البدن، وكانت العرب تقدر الأوقات بالأعمال كقولهم قدر حلب الشاة وقدر نحر جزور. فعدل زيد بن ثابت عن ذلك إلى التقدير بالقراءة إشارة أن ذلك الوقت كان وقت العبادة بالتلاوة، ولو كانوا يقدرون بغير العمل لقال مثلا قدر الدرجة أو ثلث 5 ساعة. وقال ابن أبي جمرة في إشارة إلى أن أوقاتهم كانت مستغرقة بالعبادة. The first benefit we take from this hadith, some of the commentators on Sahih Al-Bukhari, they say that the Arabs, it was from their culture, from their practice, to estimate time based off of acts, based off of things that you did and performed. And the Arabs, not too often did they use pieces of time, half an hour, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but they would talk about what they would do in that time. How long will it take you to come back? The time that it takes to kada. The time that it takes to kada. Everybody understand this? How long? The time that it takes to milk a goat. The time that it takes to slaughter a camel. And to process it. Skin it. Remove the intestines. Cut the meat apart. Break it down. Slice it up to be dried out for jerky, etc. Everybody understand this? Time to take a nap after Dhuhr and Asr. Everybody clear on this? How we say in our modern times? How long you gonna be, Umar? No, nah, that's time.
I'll be a while.
Gotta be something that you do, an act that we do.
The time it takes to feed a cow.
Nobody's feeding a cow in New York City. Allah, man.
What can I
But
do laundry? I told you.
that which is apparent is that no one's feeding a cow on a van with. Allah knows best what's in your house. Allah.
About 10 blocks.
Right.
Huh?
Or
By the
haircut.
time to do 10 blocks, go to 10 blocks.
10 blocks.
Time to take a
Play a
shower.
basketball game.
Mufti, are you ready? I'll be there. I'm leaving my house. All right. I'm getting out the shower now. I'm getting out the shower. If I'm out of the shower, I'm drying off, getting dressed, lotion, deodorant, oil, cologne, like this. What color socks I'm gonna wear today? What argos I'm gonna wear? Everybody understand this? How could that? Huh? Oh, you late, Mufti? I'm down the steps. I told you I was getting out the shower. You thought I was dressed. I still am getting dried off. So how long will it take? No longer than what?
15 minutes.
10 minutes. 15 minutes is a long time. Nah, that's not. I'm doing other things besides the shower. I told you that. So some brothers may need 30 minutes coming out the shower. Al-Muhim, it's customary. Huh? How long we gonna be sitting here? You know, go get yourself a snack. A cup of coffee and a Danish. Everybody understand this? We're not gonna be that long. Well, heck of that. We get a light snack. Everybody understand this? So this is what the Arabs they used to do. And Zayd radiallahu anhu in this hadith, he didn't want to do that. He wanted to do something else. And he wanted to give the time estimation with something that was more virtuous. And that's an ibadah, reciting the Quran. And it also proves that the Sahaba spent their time reciting the Quran. And then at that time, they were what? Reciting. Because he could have said to slaughter a cow, to do this, to do that. But he said what? 50 ayat. He said what? 50 ayat. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this? وفيه تأخير السحور لكون أبلغ في المقصود. And it also shows the recommendation of delaying the sahur, because it's easier for you to perform it properly, to get the fruit or the nutrition from the food. You eat at 2 a.m., 1:30, you're going to be hungry by the time Fajr comes along. You eat right before Fajr, at least it'll hold you over what? For some time. Your body, the nutrients that your body needs, let alone the mind. The mind what? Everybody understand this? You can do without the food, but it's just you're hungry, your stomach, your mind. I got a taste for this, I want to drink that, I want to eat this. Even though your body is doing absolutely fine. You're used to eating and drinking regularly when you want to. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this? So this helps you out and it assists you. Khairan inshallah. He then says here, another benefit here, Hafidh ibn Hajar, he says what? Is the adab of the Sahaba. وَفِيهِ حُسْنُ الْأَدَبِ فِي الْعِبَارَةِ. Is to be respectful in what you say. Whereas, what did he say? تَسَحَرْنَا مَعَ. He says we ate suhoor with? And it doesn't say we and the Prophet ate suhoor. The Prophet was our leader and we ate suhoor in his company as an honor. We benefited and we ate with him. And not we were all sitting together eating. Everybody understand this? There are many other fawaid, lata'if. Okay, let's do with the main focus of the hadith now. Does the hadith support, first of all, how long is 50 ayat? You say 10 minutes? What'd you say, Sharif? Depends what ayat, ahsant. 50 ayat from Surah An-Nisa is not like 50 ayat from Juz Amma. Everybody understand this? إن في ذلك الآية. Certain ayats are very short and concise. Yasin, Hamim, Taha. Is that an ayah, Sheikh? Huh? La, I didn't say it wasn't. Al-Muhim, what's important is that what ayat are you reciting? And secondly, the speed of the reciter. How many pauses he takes. How long his wind is. How does he elongate the med? So the concept of 50 ayah is relative. Is what? Is relative. So some people, they use this hadith to show is that imsak on the prayer schedule is correct. And that's the sunnah, to do imsak. Eat sahur, and then 10 to 15 minutes, you can't eat, you can't drink, you can't have intercourse with your wife until, everybody understand this? They say imsak. Even though it's still dark, Salat al-Fajr is not in yet, but you have to stop before the adhan. You have to do what? Before the adhan. What is the proof for this? Or why do people say this? Why would they say this, Sharif?
They could have like a gauge, or they cannot. They're just being cautious, I guess.
Being cautious. That's the first reason. Ihtiyat. You don't want to keep eating, then you have food in your mouth. You have food stuck in your teeth. Perhaps in 10 minutes, we'll give you some time to brush your teeth, rinse out your mouth, let the food digest, and get your food off of it, get your mind off of what? Food. Not saying that's right, but this is a way of looking at it. And others, they may say, this is the sunnah. Whereas the companion was clearly asked. And he says, this is when we used to what?
Read.
Stop for reading. With the amount of time that we recite, take what? 50 ayah. Everybody understand this? And then others, they may say, the imsak is when it's time for the adhan of Salat al-Fajr. And nothing before. There is no precaution when it comes to eating and drinking and doing things that are made lawful by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everybody understand this? Now, some people, they say here, they use this hadith to support their views. Instead of, or not even that, excuse me. They say what? They support their views. Which one? Which is proper? To do what? To support your view with a hadith, or support a hadith with your view? Support a hadith with your view, or support the view with your hadith? Support your view with a what? Hadith. And there's some people who support a hadith with what? Their view. The understanding of the hadith, the application of the hadith is based off of my view. It's my view that imsak is a good thing. It's good for the people to do it. So that's this hadith means. بِقَدْرِ 50 ayah. Some of the ulama, they say that what's meant by adhan in this hadith is the actual iqamah. It's the iqamah, and not the actual adhan. And the time between the iqamah and the what? La. What's the starting point and the ending point? No.
There was two adhan.
What is the starting point and the ending point? Point A is what? Asenta. Sahur is the starting point. When do you do what? Eat. When do you stop eating? Everybody understand this? The adhan or the iqamah? Okay, so that's point A and point B, right? Sahih? Everybody clear on this? Then we have another point A and point B. The first point is what? Is the adhan, and the second one is the iqamah. So some say that this hadith means the time between the adhan and the what? Was what? Aywa. And the people continue to eat up until the? Which one?
The
طيب. عليك السلام ورحمة الله. Which one, ikhwan? So after the adhan, continue to eat?
No.
According to what?
Huh. Taya.
Stop eating when the adhan comes in.
Okay.
And then you have 10 to 15 minutes
Before the adhan, before the iqamah. The hadith says what? It says here, everybody listen very carefully. It says, Kam kana, it says what? We ate suhoor with the what? The Nabi al-Kareem. Thumma qama ila salah. Then he did what? He stood for the prayer. Qultu, kam kana bayna al-adhani was-sahur. How long was it between the adhan and the sahur? The end of the sahur and the
comment. What is the second adhan?
You guys sit with each other. You belong with each other. Allah musta'an. Listen carefully once again. Everybody listen. Everybody listen carefully. It says Zayd ibn Thabit said, we took the sahur with the Prophet. They did what? They ate with the Rasul. Hadith then says in English, then he stood for what? Prayer. What did he stand for? And what was mentioned before his standing? Everybody understand this? Eating and then sahur. Then says, what was the interval between the sahur and the adhan? He said the time what? To recite 50 ayah. That can mean several different things. That can mean that the length of the sahur was 50 ayah. Kam bayna sahur wal adhan. How long is between the sahur and the adhan? In other words, how long did the sahur take before the Prophet stood up for? Everybody understand this? There's several different ways of understanding this. Allah says in the Quran, وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا, eat and drink until the white thread becomes clear to Everybody understand this? So this hadith, does it prove that this is what the Prophet ﷺ did every day and the Sahaba did every day? Or does he say, tasaharna, we ate with the Prophet? And it says, kunna natasaharu, we used to eat with the Prophet. But he's talking about what? There was a time when we ate with the Rasul ﷺ and so on and so forth. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this? The other companion in the previous hadith, what did he say? Read the translation that was Sahih. He says, I used to. More than once or just one time? Often, on a daily basis. He would eat sahur, and then do what? Hurry up to make the salah. To get to the masjid. The hadith of Zayd ibn Thabit says what?
1 day.
Everybody understand this? One time. Let alone the whole concept of how long. And between what point of ending and beginning. Or beginning and ending. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this? So if a person wishes to stop eating before the adhan, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Brush your teeth, drink water, let your food settle down where you're not bloated before you make the salah. But to say that now you have to stop. And there's something called imsak. Even if this interpretation of the hadith was correct, and if it was sound, what does it prove? That it's mandatory to stop? Or there was a time in which they what? They stop. So the place on the prayer schedule say that this is the time in which you must stop. You can't keep eating until the adhan is wrong. From this way, from that way, and from what? Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on that? The imsak on the prayer schedule is not supported. Everybody clear on this? With the clarity of the other ahadith, with the clarity of Allah's commands, eat and drink until. And the white thread and the black thread is the coming of what? Fajr of what? Everybody understand of what? Fajr. Everybody clear on this? We're clear on this or not? Khayr, inshallah. Let's move on to the next hadith. Bidhnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let alone the fact, before we go any further, the concept of precaution. If it's clearly supported, then that's one thing. But excessive over precaution is not the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And if you say that everything has to be this type of precaution, that type of precaution, so on and so forth, you wouldn't do anything. You wouldn't do what? You wouldn't do anything. Let alone the concept of precaution in certain things and a person being totally nonchalant in many other things. Everybody understand this? As the person says, what? Halal chicken with riba money. I didn't say that. Somebody said this. The concept of extra precaution, halal meats, riba bank, riba estate, riba card. That's what? We're in America. Dar al-Harb. 2016. Allah is Ghafur Rahim. It's a hardship, so on and so forth. All of those excuses that you use to deal with riba and the transactions of riba, they can all be used to deal with what? What are we talking about now? There you go. It's 2016. It's a hardship to find halal food. I'm traveling. I have to eat. The Ahl Kitab. Is this not the case? Right or wrong? There's no doubt about this. It's a hardship. I'm going to Atlanta, Georgia, driving. How many halal road stops, rest stops are there? I'm hungry, driving 6, 7, 8 hours at a time. I can't just go get fish and fruit and French fries. I need some food to stay up, stay awake. No, you can't eat there. It's haram, brother. Tayyip, no problem. But the car that you use, the rental car that you're driving, and everything else, riba or not. Everybody understand this concept here? So we're trying to prove a point, like we talked about last night in Philadelphia. Of super precaution here, be superly duperly laxed what? There. Don't make salah, but imsak on the prayer schedule. Everybody understand this? Don't wear hijab, but super precaution when it comes to this type of meat and this type of chicken. That's contradiction. And that's hypocrisy that many of us fall into on a daily basis. Allah help us all. Everybody clear on this? So precaution is only based off of knowledge. That's another concept. Basing your super precaution off of ignorance. You don't have the proper knowledge for that. Everybody understand this? To determine, to decipher, and to discern what is and what isn't. Everybody understand these things? Khairan inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Next chapter.
So if the muaddin gives the adhan and I continue to eat and the iqam has been called, so I could, with the second hadith, you could understand that the person can continue eating until the iqam is called.
No. Allah, we didn't say that. Repeat what we said, Jamil.
You can eat this whole meal up to the adhan. But when the adhan is called,
What does the hadith mean? Between, he says 50 ayah.
time period.
Between what? How long is something? If you estimating something, it has to be a time when it starts and a time when it what? When it stops. Suhoor to the adhan. Suhoor to before the adhan. The salah, the adhan to the iqamah. In other words, the end of suhoor to the beginning of the salah. No suhoor, which automatically means adhan. Between the adhan and the iqamah is biqadri khamsina. Right, understand this? It's more than a way of understanding looking at the hadith. No understanding is saying that you eat all the way up until the iqamah. Nor is there any understanding that's saying that you have to stop 10 minutes before the adhan. Or based off of the other understanding. Everybody understand this? Imsak? No. Eating up until the iqamah also? Everybody clear on this? Whether it's A, B, or C. Khairan inshallah. This goes to show how, with regards to understanding the hadith or misunderstanding the hadith and the concept of a person's personal acts, they're not necessarily the same. Hadith could mean one thing, that doesn't mean that what you're doing is correct. Everybody understand this? Khairan inshallah. Next chapter, Imam Al-Bukhari, he says, Babu barakat al-sahur min ghayri ijab. The barakah of sahur, and it's not compulsory. It's not obligatory to eat the sahur. Why? Why isn't it? The Prophet ﷺ says to saharu, eat sahur. That's a command. It's an order. The reason why it isn't compulsory, he says, Imam Al-Bukhari, he says, because the Prophet ﷺ and his companions, they did what is called wisal. They continued their fast. They went from what? Day to day of not eating. Obviously, if a person goes day to day without eating and fasting, they didn't eat sahur. So he's saying that this proves the hadith of Anas, eat sahur, because in sahur is a barakah, proves that it's not mandatory, but it's what? Recommended. And the proof that it's recommended is because the Prophet and his companions clearly did something that's going against the command of the other hadith. But if we didn't have that hadith, then sahur will be because it's a command to sahur. Let alone the fact that the Prophet ﷺ says because in the sahur is a what? A barakah. He's giving you a specific reason. Khairan inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We'll take this hadith and next the continuing chapters in the following class. Bidnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah surely knows best.
I have a question. What is the permissibility of using boars, bristle, brushes. Brushes made from the hair of a boar.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. What's the ruling on using a brush made from boar bristles? There's several different aspects, very important aspects that have to be understood, even in brief, with regards to this question and with regards to the answer to the question. The first is, what is the ruling of a pig? The body of the pig. The meat, clear. Blood, clear. Skin, fat, that needs to be understood. The second ruling is, or the second concept is, what is the ruling on tanning something, dyeing something, curing something, chemically modifying, or not even modifying, no, but just even the external of a thing, the skin of a thing, the hide of a thing, when you tan something, and also the inside as well, but specifically the outside. What happens to something that's haram, or something that's najis, or something that is outwardly illegal, illegitimate, but we do something to it? We put something in it, we put something on it, we put it in a place in which it changes, it's altered. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this? The flesh of the pig is not the hair of the pig. The flesh of the pig is not the what?
Hair of the pig.
Everybody understand this? Let alone the concept of a boar and of a hog. Not saying that a boar is permissible to eat. Not saying that its flesh is permissible to eat, but there are two different animals. A boar is an animal and a hog is what?
Another
In other words, a hog is normally what?
pig.
A pig is normally what?
Hog.
Who knows? Asenta.
What?
Domesticated. It eats certain things, it drinks certain things, it lives in certain environments. And a boar, in most cases, wild, it's free. Now, no one get that I'm saying that it's permissible to eat the flesh of a boar, of a wild boar. I'm not saying that. We're trying to make a fifth point. The Prophet ﷺ, he made a difference between domesticated donkeys and wild donkeys. The diet of the wild donkey is different. Its environment is different. How it lives is what? A domesticated donkey eating filth, living in filth, dirt, inner city is not the same. Everybody understand this? That's another dimension of the answer. Everybody clear on this? Everybody understand this? The summary of the answer is, before we go into all of these ins and outs, but it's very important. These ins and outs are very important. The summary is, I will not hold it haram to use the brush whose bristles is made from boar. That it isn't haram. According to my view, my own personal view. You don't have to take it. My own personal view, that it's permissible. And I would use the brush like that. Everybody understand this? Rather me being a barber, some of the best brushes that you'll find are those that are made like this. And those that come from other substances are not good brushes. Everybody understand this? You need to make it in? Hold on. Al-Muhim, we'll talk about this tomorrow as well, inshallah.